Hello everyone, I'm doing something different today. I'm going to talk about how I changed Sculk and the deep dark biome in Minecraft. One does not simply enter the Sculk caverns. If a player steps onto Sculk, they'll be detected by it. The Sculk will send out its legions, known as Sculk spawn. That includes the Warden and some other mobs I might be adding, but I'll talk about that a bit later. To avoid detection, the player must sneak. Or they can use wool. I can block out vibrations, sounds, same thing really. If the player dies in close proximity to Sculk, the player won't simply respawn. The player will awake in the underworld. This is pretty much the Sculk dimension, but I feel like the underworld is a fitting name for it. Death will not provide freedom. Upon death, the player upon death in the Sculk biome, the underworld, the player will just awake in the underworld again. So how does one escape the underworld? And what even is the underworld? The underworld replaces the ends dimension. And also, ancient cities will replace strongholds. I think that makes sense, because the strongholds, I don't know, yeah, the ancient cities are probably harder to reach than the strongholds. I just think it makes sense. Because they're very similar structures, like they're underground fortresses. But like, why not like just merge the two? It just makes sense in my mind. And there'll be a portal to the end, the underworld, in the ancient cities, which is the big rectangular thing in the middle. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, and ancient cities will be a mix of strongholds and ancient cities, because strongholds are pretty cool. Yeah, but all ancient cities are cool as well. So I'll mix the two together. And the underworld will be a mix of the end, as it is in the game, and the ancient city. So I think that'd be quite cool, because the end kind of feels like it could be a Sculk dimension. Do you know what I mean? To escape the dimension, the underworld, the player must seek the eyes. So it is like the normal Minecraft with the stronghold, like you look for the eyes of Ender, but it's a bit different. The eyes of the deep, not the eyes of Ender. Not like that. So I'm currently just using the same texture of the eyes of Ender, but I'll probably make my own texture. And the eyes will be scattered around the underworld. So the player will have to find all the eyes. But what do they do with them? Once all eyes have been found, they must be placed in altars around the underworld. These look like this: an eye and an altar. So the altar is pretty much like a smaller portal. So there'll be a place to put the eye right in the centre of it. Once all the altars bear an eye of the deep, the central portal will light up. It'll look like that. That's the big portal. The player can now exit through the portal. But there are things to do in the underworld. face the Whiffer. Now, I'm going to put the Whiffer in the underworld, because the Whiffer is like a creature of the soul that is made of souls, in my mind, because it's like soul sand. It's like, it just makes sense. But it feels like the Nether should have like another boss, maybe like the Blaze or something, like that. That wasn't added in the mob vote. But the Whiffer makes more sense with the Sculk, I think. Well, there is already the Warden, but the Warden is like in the overworld, and the Whiffer will be actually in the underworld. There's the Skulk's mentioned. There'll be lost souls there to be rescued, and malicious souls to be fought and controlled. So that's going to be a new mechanic. The Warden is a puppet, but who controls it? The Whiffer is the master. The true Lord of Souls and the underworld. And there it is. Just look at that, it just looks like it fits well with souls and like Sculk and stuff, I think. Can be beaten, the Whiffer can be beaten. But will always respawn after time, being an immortal god. So you can't truly defeat it, but it'll always come back. And it will remain confined to the underworld, because it is just a creature of soul, like it doesn't exist in the physical world, in the overworld. So yeah. But beating the Whiffer grants special powers. The player can bring back souls from the underworld. So the lost souls, the good souls, they can be made into villagers. And these can like, yeah, these can just help the player out. Like it'll be like a civilization. I might make it so they can. That's how you get villagers. So that helps you don't just find villagers. And I'm gonna make the villagers look like Steve as well, because I don't like the villager design. It looks a bit weird in my opinion. And also, hostile souls and hostile mobs can be brought back from the underworld and then controlled. So like, you could have creepers under your control, but there'll be some limits for this, so it won't be OP. I'll have to think about how I'm going to do that. This is just an overview of my plans, but I might do some like more parts to this, like more episodes, spinning my idea, and also not just the underworld and Sculk, because I got ideas for other things like the Nether and just like Minecraft. I don't know, just general things. Anyway. Lost souls and malicious souls. So that's what they look like. This is from like the Bad Omen texture. Changed it twice, slightly. Yeah. So you got the bluish ones there, the good ones, but the desaturated ones they're bad. Yeah. Despite their threatening crimson eyes, these lost souls are good, because you may think they're bad. These can be saved and resurrected. I mean, that's basically what they are. Recruited as villagers in the player's civilization. So this is how we'll get villagers. Like, so you don't just find villagers. It'll be like up to the player to make them. So you don't have to even have villagers in your world. You can just leave the souls in the underworld if you want to. Doesn't really affect much, but if you decide to take them back, you can have them living in your world, and they can do stuff. They're going to be a lot more useful than normal villagers. They'll be a lot more functional, but I'll come into that a later video. And these, the malicious souls of hostile mobs, devoid of colour and compassion. They retain their abilities from their physical lives. So they retain their abilities in the underworld. So a creeper will still have an explosive attack, and skeletons will still shoot arrows. But they can be brought back as minions of the player, under the player's control. Yeah, that's about all I have to say today. Hope you enjoyed that.